The time has come for it. In the course of several years, holders of XRP have waited, speculated, and weathered a wide range of events, including market crashes and regulatory disputes. Throughout it all, there was one concept that remained at the center of the hopes of the XRP community. The belief that Ripple, the business that is responsible for XRP, will eventually go public and, as a result, increase the value and legitimacy of the entire ecosystem by this action. This dream is no longer a figment of speculation. There has been a leak of a confidential version of Ripple's initial public offering IPO document, notably the S1 registration form that was submitted to the SEC. But here's where things get interesting. A bombshell clause may be found inside that document, and it suggests that holders of XRP may be granted the right of first refusal to purchase Ripple shares at a considerable discount. Indeed, you did hear that correctly. You have the potential to be the first person in line for Ripple shares if you have XRP. It's not just a major deal, it has the potential to be the most revolutionary wealth event in the history of cryptocurrency. Now let's begin at the very top. For the purpose of registering its securities for a public offering, a corporation must submit the S1 form, which is the official paperwork that goes through the SEC. Every single thing is included in it, including the history of the organization, the risk factors, the financial statements, and frequently some highly revealing provisions regarding early investors and stakeholders. In addition, the reference to a loyalty share allocation program can be found in the fine print elements of the document. In terms of the law, it is not as obvious, but in terms of the market, it is huge. It would appear that the program acknowledges verified XRP holders as persons who are qualified to participate in a preferential equity offering that will take place prior to Ripple's public listing. Although it is not specifically designated as an airdrop, the process operates in a manner that is comparable. Furthermore, it provides value to holders of XRP without requiring them to go via the conventional buying channels. By doing so, Ripple is unambiguously embracing the community as an integral component of its foundation. Now that we have that out of the way, let's take a step back and figure out why this, completely alters the narrative surrounding XRP. It is not a pump at all, not a tweet or a rumor. This is not true. Ripple is the company that fought the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, tooth and nail, even though it was telling its most devoted community members that they would be rewarded with stock. Take that into consideration for a moment. When it comes to early equity access, the traditional world is reserved exclusively for venture capitalists and other insiders. Ripple, on the other hand, holds the potential to be the first blockchain business to genuinely democratize that opportunity by employing its very own token ecosystem as a gateway. The execution of this provision will not only result in the creation of wealth, but it will also, in all honesty, rewrite the way in which equity and cryptocurrency may coexist. It's time to talk about numbers for a moment, shall we? Following its first public offering in 2021, Coinbase was valued at more than $60 billion at the time of its introduction. Therefore, Coinbase initiated its first public offering in 2021 with a valuation of more than $60 billion. From here, let's move on to discussing the possible valuation of Ripple, not only in the cryptocurrency industry, but also, to tell you the truth, in traditional finance as well. That initial public offering caused a significant amount of fear of missing out, FOMO. On the other hand, here's the thing. When compared to the institutional infrastructure that Ripple has developed, Coinbase, additionally, they serve as the fundamental support structure for on-demand liquidity corridors that span dozens of nations. It is therefore possible that Ripple may go public at a valuation of $100 billion or higher, depending on the opinion of the market and, their current assets under management, if Coinbase was worth $60 billion at the time of its initial public offering. Imagine that you were able to acquire early access to an initial public offering, IPO, at a lower price simply because you possess XRP. It's not only a financial victory, though. A chance like this comes around only once in a lifetime. On the other hand, let's take this even farther. There are two different value drivers that go hand in hand. Initially, the cost of XRP in and of itself. There will be a significant increase in demand for XRP once it is widely known that ownership of XRP could provide access to Ripple equity assets. In order to position oneself strategically rather than for conjecture. In order to gain access to early equity, traders, institutions, and even investors who are not cryptographic will suddenly require XRP. In this way, a token with a fixed supply is subjected to a significant amount of additional demand pressure. The value of the Ripple stock itself is the second factor to consider. It is possible that early investors, particularly those who entered the market at a discount, could see big returns even before the secondary market opens if Ripple goes public with an initial public offering (IPO) valuation of between $60 billion and $100 billion. That's a win-win situation that almost no other cryptocurrency project brings to the table. So let's speak about the timing of things now. The initial public offering (IPO) is anticipated to be submitted to the public within the next 90 days, as stated by the leak. It's been 3 months, and that's it. At this point, let's discuss the timing. The initial public offering (IPO) is anticipated to be submitted to the public within the next 90 days, as stated by the leak. That's a period of 30 days. And that's it. That is the only amount of time that the general people will have before this entire narrative becomes widely accepted, before to it being covered by CNBC, before to it becoming popular on Twitter, prior to the influx of institutional finance, and prior to the gates being closed. It is early for you. You are aware of the situation. You are aware, however, that time is everything. When this initial public offering (IPO) is made public, the price of XRP will not merely increase, rather it will undergo a repricing. Instead of being considered an alternative cryptocurrency, it will be seen as a doorway to Wall Street-grade equities. Additionally, at that same instant, the previous price range will vanish without a trace. There will be no more instances of XRP being sold for 50 cents, $1, or even $5. On the other hand, let's talk about the most obvious problem. Is this even legal? Ripple may even be able to issue equity based on the amount of tokens held. The response is complicated, but it shows promise. As a result of the resolution of the SEC case and the court's decision that XRP is not a security in secondary markets, Ripple now has a unique legal foundation on which to experiment with equity token hybrid models. It is possible for them to implement a loyalty-based equity program, particularly if it is opt-in and validated, provided that they adhere to the Know Your Customer guidelines and continue to maintain compliance. Consequently, this indicates that XRP holders who are interested in taking part in the initial public offering of shares will most likely be required to go through a verification process, possibly through Ripple's own platform, or possibly through some regulated exchanges. Both of these options are possible. On the other hand, the door is open. However, this action also carries a more profound metaphorical significance. Ripple is giving its community a sense of worth. Over the course of several years, those who held XRP were told that they were incorrect, that they were supporting the wrong horse, and that their token was worthless. Currently, the same token is being utilized as a means of gaining entry into the major leagues. There is a connection being made between it and legacy finance, NASDAQ, and the elite of Wall Street. In a way that no blog post, white paper, or influencer tweet could ever hope to do, this initial public offering (IPO) not only makes Ripple wealthy, but it also makes XRP legitimate. Considering that we are now entering the third and last section of our examination, it is essential to be aware of what is occurring on-chain. An increased amount of XRP is being accumulated by whale wallets at a rapid pace. The outflows of exchange indicate a significant amount of withdrawal activity from institutions. Given that we are now entering the third and last section of this examination, it is essential that we are aware of what is occurring on-chain. The accumulation of XRP in whale wallets is occurring at a far faster rate than in other wallets. The outflows of exchange indicate a significant amount of withdrawal activity from institutions. Large, untraceable purchases that appear to be connected to structured positions are reported by over-the-counter OTC firms. That is not a coincidence at all. Smart money, well, they are aware of what is about to happen. They are aware that the initial public offering (IPO) of Ripple is not just a significant milestone for the company, but also a transformation in both culture and finances. In accordance with this, they are positioning themselves. I would like to know, are you? It is possible that now is the time for you to sell XRP if you have been holding on to it through the bad markets, the litigation, the delistings, and the false information. It is possible that this is the reward that the community has been anticipating. This, however, calls for action. You should begin by confirming your holdings.